Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition is a remastered version of the original Bulletstorm. Bulletstorm was originally released in 2011, and the remaster came out in 2017, and the remaster will be the basis of this critique. I will only look at the remaster in isolation. I will not speak about what was changed, added, or enhanced. If anyone wants to know if the remaster is worth $50, my answer is fuck no. Wait for it to be on sale. The game is good, but I don't think it's worth the full price. I would say lower than $20 seems a lot more reasonable. Bulletstorm is a first-person shooter with regenerating health, a 3-weapon carry limit, and a scoring system that tells you to shoot enemies up their ass. If that last part didn't make it clear, this game is meant to be a comedy game. I think the game has some okay jokes and moments, but overall I didn't find it all that funny. The game is also very linear. There will be very little exploration that the player can do. It's more about the challenge of how to get past every enemy instead of having a large area to explore and wander around. There are 7 weapons in total, and you can only choose 2 of the weapons you carry because one will always be the assault rifle. Every weapon has a charge attack that unlocks after progressing in the story. There are also no grenades. The leash, kick, and thumper are available to you as additional attacks. The leash pulls enemies and objects close to you, the kick launches everything away, while the thumper launches everything up in the air. The thumper also has a limited number of charges before more must be purchased. The leash can pull weapons off the floor, but it can't pull weapons out of enemy hands. The 7 weapons available are the assault rifle, pistol, sniper, shotgun, fiddle gun, bouncer, and spear gun. They are all pretty standard and easy to understand. The most unique ones are the spear gun and the sniper rifle. The spear gun shoots out giant spears that go through multiple enemies and launches them into the sky or into nearby walls. And for most enemies in the game, this is a one-hit kill. The sniper locks onto a single enemy and allows you to guide it in slow-mo to your foe. The game takes control away from you once the target is no longer in sight. The fiddle gun launches an explosive trap onto an enemy and explodes. The bouncer is an exploding death spear. The assault rifle is just a basic assault rifle. The pistol is a very powerful one-shot weapon, and the shotgun is very powerful as well. All these weapons are enjoyable to use and very intuitive. The gameplay is simple but functional, and the game controls very well. It is initially weird that A is how you run, but this is most likely because double tapping A is how you slide. And it feels weird because of how limited control the camera is while sprinting. But it's not that bad, just a small nitpick I have with the controls. To explain, you control the up and down camera, but you don't directly control the horizontal camera. That is controlled by where you are moving. The scoring system is simple and easy to understand. There are many ways to kill each foe, and there's a point value tied to each action. Example, blowing up an enemy with an explosive or shooting an enemy in the head. There's a list of all the different ways that you can kill along with the point value attached to it, and you can view this list at any time. Your score allows you to purchase ammo, charges, and increases the carrying capacity for max ammo and charges. Drop kits are placed everywhere, and you use these to upgrade weapons. There are other ways to increase your score, such as drinking beer bottles and completing quick time events. Doing the same skill shot will award less points over time, which I think is pretty good because that means you must perform different ones if you want to increase your score and use all the tools available. I want to give a quick story overview. You play as Dick Grayson or Dude Nukem if you use that mode, but I do not recommend it at all. More on this later. At the start, you can encounter your ex-commander, Serrano, and his ship, the Ulysses, and crash into it and land on this strange planet with mutant gangsters all around. There's a dual story going on, one about Gray and his friend Ishii trying to get off this planet, and the second is about discovering more about this planet you are on. The enemies you face are a mix of 2 gangs and some mutants called burnouts. There are some differences in the gangs. One only uses guns, while the other has a mix of melee guys. And the burnouts are mutant enemies with giant glowing weak spots. The burnouts are by far the easiest enemy in the game to face. Visually, the game looks fine for a remaster, but it's not the prettiest. It's basically just a mix of Rage, Fallout, and every other fucking post-apocalyptic game movie ever created. There are more modes than just a campaign. The Echoes mode is just a score attack using a lot of the short fights in the main story and have the player try for a high score. Since they use the same areas as in the main campaign and in the same order, your weapon choices are limited to the ones available to you at that point in the campaign. I would prefer access to all weapons on any Echo, and it's a little disappointing that the fights are the exact same as they were in the campaign. Every Echo resets your skill shots, so you can earn all the same ones again on later Echoes. Overall, this mode is fun, but has one minor flaw. You can't go to the next Echo once you complete it. You must go back and then select the next one and do do all the waiting and loading screens to get to the next one. Easy fix, allow the player to go to the next one after it's finished. Boom, mode is made 50 times better now. Also, there's another mode called Ultima Echoes that I found to be so fucking boring and tedious that I didn't play it much. To quickly explain, you do a challenge and then go to the next challenge and then onto the next challenge and then more challenges before it's over and then go on to the next one. This got so fucking boring after just once because that entire sequence of going from one challenge to another challenge is all done on the same map with the same enemies and the same weapons. It's not fun at all, and I don't think it's worth playing. Quick note before continuing, I won't speak about the multiplayer because I couldn't play it. I found no matches at any point, so unfortunately I can't speak about it. I'm sorry. The game is just a simple fun game that I found to be entertaining. All the weapons are enjoyable to use and sound good. Shooting is somewhat accurate while hip firing, along with the leash, kick, and thumper. Your ways to kill feel unique to this game, and the overall experience this game provides allows it to stand out in comparison to the average FPS. And you can be somewhat aggressive while playing because you have enough health, even on the highest difficulty, which allows you to push forward and blast enemies. The difficulty only seems to change how much damage you take, while the enemies remain quite easy to kill, which I personally enjoy, but that's just an estimate that I assumed while playing. For the record, I did 2 playthroughs, one on normal and the other on very hard. Both were enjoyable, and honestly the hardest difficulty isn't too bad. I found it to be quite enjoyable, and I would say that both playthroughs never had me needing to excessively stay in cover to survive. Naturally I died and had to play more cautious on very hard, but I was still able to push forward and kill enemies, and I enjoyed playing on the hardest difficulty setting overall. And I was able to be aggressive because many of the foes you face are melee guys. There are many enemies that use hit scan weapons, but there are a good amount of melee enemies, which allows for a large amount of avoidable damage. I think the combat is at its best when there are a mix of melee and ranged enemies. I think with only melee, the combat is too easy because the kick and leash can be used to easily knock down enemies in the spikes and shit, and avoiding their attacks isn't too hard. When it's only ranged attacks, it's a bunch of hit scan weapons and your health pool is above average, I would say. Again, just an estimate, but it still has the player needing to be a little more defensive and take advantage of the regenerating health. I think how the game works now, regenerating health is good because of hit scan weapons. I don't want to get into it too much here, but if you have unavoidable damage, regenerating health has its advantages. I will try to theorize a way that non-regenerating health may work, but more on this later. And some weapons have little details that I really enjoy. The spear gun almost always launches in an arc that will go through multiple enemies and fling them into the sky. The assault rifle has a bar at the bottom of the scope that shows how much ammo is in the clip. I mentioned it earlier, but I do like how the scoring system wants the player to use all the weapons to increase their score. If you want to improve your score, you need to do different skill shots, and this should have the player using all the weapons instead of just one, or constantly doing the same attack repeatedly. And the weapons are awesome and have multiple uses. And sniping in this game is made more enjoyable because you have control of the bullet as it flies towards your target, and it's so much fun curving the bullet into someone's face. I will say, even though I hate quick time events, this game may have the best system for it. How they work is that big moments they have you press the left trigger as fast as possible and hold it down to get points. If you do it fast enough, you get 500 points. At climbing points, you will have to alternate the triggers to climb in response to the button prompts to get points. And as you can tell, this still fucking sucks, but at least they don't kick you back to a checkpoint for failing them, so yeah, I'll count as a win. I feel like now is a good time to get to my criticisms. I feel like this game has a lot that does right, but unfortunately I feel as though every aspect of the game has some small and big flaws to them. Let's start with some small ones. I think the only weapon that I feel is weak is the assault rifle. It just doesn't feel as though it does enough damage, and it's bad because it's always with you. You cannot get rid of it, but overall it's not a terrible weapon, and I grew to like it more as I went on. Not so bad, right? Let's continue. The weapons all have a charge attack, and I like the weapons in this game, but nearly every charge attack is just a fiery attack, as is the case with the assault rifle, flail gun, and bone duster, or an explosive attack like the sniper rifle and pistol. The bouncer and the spear gun are the only ones I feel like are truly unique. The bouncer has a ball that bounces up and down, explode on impact every time, that can be leashed or kicked into enemies. The spear gun suspends an enemy and allows you to choose a target to launch them into next, or just fucking kick them. I wish every gun was more distinct with their charge attacks. I also feel as though the weapon wheel shown in the Overkill mode should have been standard. The leash should be given more uses instead of just pulling enemies, maybe allow for throwing objects horizontally as well. And this is bad because the game fucking shows that it's capable of doing this in a cutscene. Another issue I have is the movement and how limited it is. You can't fucking jump. Like, at all. You move completely on a horizontal plane and have very few ways of moving around. It's either walk, run, or slide. A jump into a slam attack that could maybe launch enemies up or out could have been a cool attack. Unless this fucker is capable of kicking bitches so hard that they launch off their fucking feet, I think his legs are capable of fucking jumping. I think movement systems need to be improved in general for all games. The ones where the devs take the time to refine it, the game always becomes better, and the amount of games that take it for granted is disappointing. The drop kits that let you buy things are fucking everywhere. Before and after nearly every fight there's a drop kit. They are so fucking common that I think that they should just have dropped it and allowed you to buy things at all times. But maybe that's not the best idea. But having them be so common just slows everything down. You leash onto the device, wait for it to load, and navigate the menus. It's not that long to be honest, but adds up over time. After every fight, it's let's stop and refill my ammo over and over and fucking over again. And there's something that's fucking atrocious about dying because of this. If you buy something at a drop station and then die, you must buy whatever you just bought again and hope you don't die again unless you want to buy everything again. Also, the only thing you can buy is ammo and charges, and increased capacity for ammo and charges. You can't upgrade the weapon's power or anything like that. I won't say this is bad or good, people will have different opinions on it. The next issue is pretty much a presentation issue that this game has. The scoring system is fine, you have all these ways that you can kill enemies, and the different ways will give different point values. And every weapon has unique ways to kill enemies that take advantage of that weapon's unique properties. It's pretty good. Except that every way you can kill enemies is told to you, so it's more like ticking off a checkbox instead of naturally or creatively finding ways to kill your enemies. You don't discover the ways to use each weapon, you are told about it. Did you know you can shoot a boss up his ass? You should, because they tell you. Did you know that you can bounce the bouncer off of walls and blow up enemies? You should, because they tell you. Did you know you can shoot an enemy in the balls and then kick his head off? You should, because they tell you. I think that should make my point, but it's bad because you don't discover these ways of killing, you are told, and unless you go out of your way to avoid looking at the skill shots, you will be told what to do and how to do about every skill shot. And this made the weapons feel more limited to me because once I picked one up, you can see all the unique ways of using this weapon instead of figuring it out yourself. I do like the skill shot system and pulling them off is still satisfying, but why not have them be hidden until you do them once, or maybe use some of your skill points to unlock the list of skill shots for a weapon. Also, I would like for some skill shots to be pulled off by using multiple weapons in combination, but the 3 weapon limit fucks that up a bit. Just have a weapon wheel instead. And there needs to be a reward for completing all skill shots for a weapon. The Overkill Mode gives you unlimited ammo, but this is a separate mode that some may not play, but should. It's pretty good. But in the campaign, there's no reward for performing all the skill shots on the weapon. There is one and only one boss fight, and it is so fucking easy. Step 1, have the flail gun. Step 2, use the flail gun. Step 3, win the fight. There are a ton of mini bosses scattered throughout the game just to be fair, but this is the only true boss. Doesn't even deserve to be called a boss, to be honest. The boss is this giant mutant plant and it looks decent enough, but the fight is so easy. You do damage and then glowing weak spots appear and then you shoot the weak points. That's it. There's no unique challenge, there's nothing unique about this fight. It's just a fucking enemy that has way too much health. It does not deserve to be called a boss. It's just fucking pathetic. I hope that the footage lines up right so you can see that the flail gun just fucking rapes this bitch. It does so much damage that this fight is a complete joke. And it's the only boss in the game, and it's about halfway through the game. I think it's a missed opportunity that more were not added. And to be clear, more actual bosses with unique mechanics and ideas that challenge the player in some way. And now I must talk about my most hated part of the game, controlling the fucking robotic dinosaur. If you haven't played the game, you might think, you control a robo dino? How can that suck? Well, let me tell you, it can suck because the only thing you can do for what feels like a fucking hour is point and click. You point at enemies, press fire, and then point at different enemies and press fire, or point at an obstacle in your way and then press a different button. It's so fucking boring, they don't ask you to do anything interesting, and you can't fire your guns alongside the dino. If you could, then it might have been more bearable. It looks cool, but it's not enjoyable at all from a gameplay perspective, and it needed to have something more to be tolerable. At least in reality, it's a very short section. And there's a reason why I said do not purchase this game for $50. One is it's a very short game, about 8 hours. And 2, the performance is not that good for a remaster. I encountered some occasional frame rate drops while playing, but thankfully it wasn't the norm, but I thought it was worth mentioning. The game also crashed a few times while playing, so overall not very well for performance. And for a game that wants $50 fucking for a very bare bones remaster that adds little to a good game, I really feel like it needed to be better than this. And considering other remasters add more than just one game for less money, I think this is beyond unacceptable, which is why I said wait for the game to be on sale. And just to show the clearest fucking showcase of bad performance, I present this scene.
I gave the order to? Who pulled the trigger on the work? It's a doozy. Dead Echo. Primary on the job. That puke dick, right there. Same man killed my crew and your final Echo squad.
You.
Stop!
I played it twice and it happened both fucking times. Warning, I'm about to spoil the whole story. The story is trying to be humorous and I think the game has some moments of being funny, but most of the jokes I didn't find all that funny. Others will feel differently. I'm going to just quickly discuss every major moment of the story really fast. First, you crash into the Ulysses and Ichi gets turned into a robot. You find Trishka and it's easy to tell that she is the girl from the opening. You find Serrano, instead of killing him, you join him and he betrays you in expected fashion. You then go back and fight him in the fucking cutscene. Ishi dies, and Serrano dies. Gray and Trishka escape the planet and the game ends. There's an end credit cutscene that shows that Serrano and Ishi are still alive. It didn't show how they are, probably in some robotic form, and I fucking hate this ending. I did skip a lot, but that's just a quick story overview. I said earlier to not play on the Duke Nukem mode, and now I'll explain why. They don't change anyone else's lines, only Duke has new lines. And this got fucking old fucking fast. People would constantly call Duke Gray and he would just be like, who's Gray? And at that point already I was sucked right out of the experience and just started having a bunch of negative thoughts about the game. How little fucking effort was put into this mode. Why the fuck is it Duke Nukem of all people? He hasn't been relevant to gaming in years. And why the fuck does my foot itch? It's really annoying. I'm sorry I sip so much about the story, I just really don't find it all that interesting to speak about in depth. Okay, that was a lot of criticisms, and I want to give some feedback and things I would suggest that may improve the game. So basically I'm going to be an armchair developer for a little bit here. Not all these are great, I'll admit. First I want to theorize a way to have non-regenerating health. My thought was to incorporate the score with your health, and have difficulty change the amount of health packs placed around. So my idea is, if you do a big combo you'll get back more health in simple skill shots. Blowing up all enemies will get back most of your health, and headshots will get back a little bit of health. So you have to play in a creative way that uses all the weapons to their potential to stay alive. There are also still health packs around. On easy, the player has more health and more health packs will be around, and the higher you go up, the less health and the health packs are available to the player, and the highest difficulty should only have the player regenerating health through the skill shots. And the beer bottles could give a slight health boost, along with making you drunk. Some gameplay benefit to drinking them. This is in no way a perfect system, it's just an idea that I had and wanted to put it out there. Next, for the love of fucking god, have a weapon wheel. I think all the weapons are enjoyable and it sucks that you can only pick 2 of them. And you don't know what the situation may call for until you see it. And with the weapon wheel, you could have skill shots that require multiple weapons to pull off. How the game works now, every weapon is powerful as an individual weapon that doesn't need to be used in combination. So I wonder if having skill shots require multiple weapons could be a good addition. I will say that after playing the Overkill mode, just please have a weapon wheel. I mentioned this earlier, but the leash and kick need to have more uses, and in general, the environment should be more interactive. The leash is shown to be capable of launching objects sideways, and this is shown again in a fucking cutscene. So why not have the player press the left bumper to launch enemies and objects towards them and hold it to move the object up, down, left, or right. So this way it's possible to kick an object away and smash into an enemy, and possibly many more options are now available. And what's funny is that idea occurred because they showed it in the game. They showed that the leash is possible of doing this in the cutscene, and instead of working it into the gameplay, they just thought that this was acceptable. I don't know why. Okay, so those are my quick ideas. I hope they aren't that fucking stupid. And back to happy times now. I hope that no one views this and thinks that Bulletstorm is a waste of time. The game is very fun, and I enjoyed it very much. The game is worth your time, just not worth $50 fucking. The base combat is entertaining enough as is, and at the end of the day, it's a good sit back and fuck shit up type of game. And if you're in the right mood, those kind of games can be amazing. And the final few echoes are completely original encounters that I think are some of the best in the game. I don't think I did the best job of explaining all the positives that this game has, but there's a reason why some people remember it very fondly. As always, thanks to anyone who views this whole video, it means a lot to me. So I want to say thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.